There is a word in the English dictionary that nearly everyone pronounces wrong, and yet no English teacher will ever tell you that you're pronouncing it incorrectly. There are, however, some words that you may be pronouncing correctly, but your English teacher tells you that you're pronouncing them wrong. What are these words? Well, let's find out. I've been an English teacher in Asia for decades, and one of the things I've noticed is that many of my students are told by their English teachers that they're pronouncing certain words incorrectly when they're actually not, and here are 10 of those words. So one day, one of my students from a top secondary school in Hong Kong, St. Paul's Co-ed College, came to his English lesson and told me that he had a strange encounter with a visiting American principal. The principal saw him studying the periodic table and she approached him. She pointed at an element and said, "That's aluminum." And as soon as my student told me this, I instantly knew what his confusion was. In the United Kingdom and Australia, it's pronounced aluminium, but in the United States and Canada, it's aluminum. Most Americans and Canadian English teachers are unaware of the British-Australian pronunciation, and many British and Australian English teachers find it kinda hard to accept the American-Canadian pronunciation. Pronounce it how you like, either aluminium or aluminum, and don't let your English teachers force you to pronounce it the way they like. Also, on another note, in the UK, Australia, and Canada, the spelling is aluminium, but it is spelled aluminium without the I in the United States and by some Canadians. The difference in spelling has nothing to do with the difference in pronunciation. Often. If you've ever pronounced often as often, there's a good chance that your English teacher has told you that the T is silent. But the truth is that both pronunciations are used by native English speakers, and this has been the case for hundreds of years. In recent years, many younger native English speakers are pronouncing the T, believing that it's the more professional pronunciation. So, feel free to pronounce it as often as you like. Pronunciation. Many English teachers believe that it must be pronounced as pronunciation, with the second syllable being none, pronunciation. But there are millions of native English speakers who pronounce it slightly differently. Pronunciation. A little closer to noun, but less strongly pronounced. Just make sure you don't pronounce it this way, pronunciation, because that would just be too incorrect. So pronunciation. A minor difference that really doesn't matter much, but some English teachers take this way too seriously. Schedule. So if your English teacher is only familiar with American or Canadian English, they probably don't know that around 60% of Brits say schedule instead of schedule. And since schedule is never used in North American English, your teacher may be unaware of this pronunciation. In the UK, most Southerners use schedule and Northerners schedule. Schedule is also more common in Australia, but schedule is also used. Advertisement or advertisement. Advertisement is the American and Canadian pronunciation, and advertisement is the British pronunciation. Australians use both, with younger generations often preferring advertisement and older generations preferring advertisement. Kilometre. Spelled Kilometre in the United Kingdom, Australia, and Canada, but Kilometer in the United States. This word also has more than one pronunciation. Many native English speakers pronounce it somewhat the same way, kilometre, but there is a second pronunciation that is used by some native English speakers, like Sir David Attenborough and myself, kilometre. Why is it kilojoule, kilowatt, and kilogram but kilometre. Vitamin, vitamin. If you pronounce it as vitamin and you have an American, Canadian, or Australian English teacher, they may be unaware that vitamin is the standard British pronunciation. So it's vitamin in the UK, but vitamin in the US and Canada, and nearly the same in Australia, vitamin. So sorry, Aussies, I'm butchering your pronunciation a little bit, but I think if I return to Australia for a visit, I can get my Aussie accent back. Privacy, privacy. It's privacy in the United Kingdom, but privacy in the United States and Canada. The Australian pronunciation is very similar, privacy. So pronounce it either privacy, privacy, or privacy. Semi, semi. Americans pronounce the word both semi and semi. When they're using the word for this type of vehicle, they usually pronounce it as semi, with a long I sound. But for other uses, some Americans say semi and others say semi. Brits, Aussies, and Canadians, for the most part, pronounce it as semi. Mobile, mobile. The pronunciation is mobile in all countries when we're using it to describe a baby mobile like this one I made a few years ago. It is also mobile in Australia and the UK for all meanings, including mobile phones, which are called cell phones in the United States and Canada. In the US and Canada, mobile is used for other meanings. Mobile, mobile. So what word in the English dictionary is always pronounced wrong, and yet no English teacher will ever tell you that you're pronouncing it incorrectly? Well, that word is wrong. Thanks for watching, and it's not wrong to give this video a like, but perhaps it's wrong for me to have made such a stupid joke though.